Hi guys and girls, video here on the area of both trapeziums and parallelograms for you. I'm going to jump right in with the trapeziums because it's the one I think that's going to take me the longest. I've got 7 examples for you, so let's just get cracking. So, area of trapezium. There is a formula for it, which is this. Oh, my computer's going a bit nuts. But, frankly, it's easier just to remember the way I'm going to teach it. The formula, yes, it's always going to be there. You are given it in some exams. GCSEs, you're not given it. But everything up to then, you should be given it. Okay, so all it means is A and B are the parallel sides. So the parallel ones are the ones that are like train tracks, so they never meet. So if we look at this first one, the 2 that will never ever meet are the bottom line and the top line. So if we carried these on forever and ever and ever, they would never meet. Okay, so we've got a 3 centimetre line and an 8 centimetre line. The formula says add them together, half it and multiply by the height. Okay, I don't really like this formula because it's not actually always the height that you multiply by. So I'm going to rub that out. What you do is you add the parallels, which in this case is going to be 8 plus 3, which is 11. Half it. So 11 divided by 2 is 5.5. So what you're actually doing there is you're trying to find the middle of 3 and 8. And the quickest way to do that is to add it together and half it. And then you multiply, I'm going to put times by distance between the parallel lines. Right, in this case it is the height. So we set our parallel lines with the top line and the bottom line, and the distance between them is this line here, so that's 3. So we would be doing 5.5 times 3, which is 16.5. So the area of this is 16.5. Now I've got to put units on it. If you're doing an online assessment, then just look, see if the units are there. If they're not, you've got to type them in yourself. So all of these measurements are in centimetres. But if you're doing an area, it's centimetres squared. So our final answer is 16.5 centimetres squared. I will do that again. So another type of trapezium here. Which 2 are the parallel lines? Okay, it's the top and bottom again. It's not always going to be the top and bottom, but it is in most cases. We want to find the middle of 2 and 9. So you can do it, like I say, the quickest way to do it is add them and then half it. So we're going to do step 1, which is 2 plus 9. And then divide by 2. So you're finding the middle of 2 and 9. And that is 2 and 9 is 11. Oh, I've got set 5.5 again. And then step 2 is multiply by the distance between those parallel lines. So in this case, it's this 4 here. Because the distance between the 2 and the 9, you could put that line anywhere, doesn't matter where, but they're all 4 millimetres, sorry. So we need to do 5.5 times 4, which is 22. Okay, about the units, well, all these measurements are in millimetres, and it's an area, so we have to put squared. So there's our answer. Okay, so this one here I've popped in because it illustrates quite nicely why it's not always the top and bottom, and also why it's not always the height that you multiply by. So which two are the parallel sides? It's this one and this one. So we need to find the middle of 6 and 15. And the easiest way, step 1, is to do 6 plus 15 divided by 2. So 6 plus 15 is 21, divide that by 2 is 10.5. Step 2 is to multiply by the distance between them. So the distance between those two lines, what's that? It's 10 metres. 10 metres. So we need to do 10.5 times 10, which is 105. Now what are the units? Well, all these measurements are in metres and it's an area, so we put a squared on. Right, then the last one I want to do for a trapezium is a problem solving one. Okay, so I'm going to tell you that the area of this, it's just up here, area is 120 centimetres squared. And I want you to work out what measurement that would be to make that true. So what we would do normally is we would do 5 plus something divided by 2 to get the middle, because the something and the 5 are the parallel lines. Then we would multiply it by 8, and we know that the answer has to be 120. And all we're going to do to work out the box is to go backwards. So we're going to start with 120. We're going to go that way. Oh, don't know why I put equals. Backwards to times 8. Backwards to times 8 would be divide by 8. Let me do it as a function machine. What do we get out of that? 120 divided by 8. 120 divided by 8. 8's into 1 don't go, carry or clump. 8 into 12 goes 1 with 4 left over. 8 into 40 go 5, so it's 15. Okay, so that's the 8 done. Then we need to do the opposite to divide by 2. The opposite to divide by 2 is times 2. 15 times 2 is 30. So that's that done. So what we're left with is something plus 5 is 30. Well, that's 25. So the answer to this, we think this is 25. So let's just make sure. It's always good to make sure. So if I do this correctly, the answer I'm going to get is 120. So the process, find the middle of 25 and 5. Quickest way is to add them together and half it. If we add them together we get 30, half it's 15. Step 2 is to multiply by the distance between the parallel sides, which is 8, and that's 120. Good, that's what we want. So we were right. The answer to this is 25 centimetres. Right, I'm going to move on to parallelograms. Parallelograms are quite a bit easier, so I should be able to get through this a bit quicker. So a parallelogram is kind of a rectangle that's been a bit squished. Okay, so what we're going to do this is we're going to chop this triangle off the end here. Chop, 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 it's all gone. I'm going to move it over to here and slot it in that gap. Okay, I'm going to grab a little white pen, hopefully, and it will make the other one disappear. There, so that's all gone. She says, why won't that work? Lovely, that's better. Okay, so now we're left with a rectangle. How wide is that rectangle, do you think? Well, the little bit that we chopped off here is the same as this bit here, so the 11 still goes all the way along. How tall is this rectangle? It's 4 meters. And how do you find the area of a rectangle? You multiply them together. So 11 times 4. So that is 44, and it's in meters, so that would be meters squared. Okay, so you just need to find out how long the parallelogram is and how tall it is. So you're doing length times height. Or width, it kind of depends what you call it. Okay, let's have a look at this one. So how long is this? How wide is it, if you like? It's 4 wide. How tall is it? Well, it's 8.5 tall. So we're going to multiply them together. So 8.5, so 8 times 4 is 32. Half of 4, so it'll be 34. You can do calculators if you want. Centimetres, because everything's in centimetres. And squared, because it's an area. So the 10, and when we were doing this one, the 5 that was here, are there to try and trick you. You just want how long is it on the bottom, and how tall is it straight up. Okay, last one. Now this is a problem solving one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to split this into 2 shapes. So I've got the big green, oh, that's a terrible straight line. Big green parallelogram. How long is that? How wide is that across the bottom? 17. How tall is it? How tall is it? Well, we've got 3, 5 and 3, so that makes 3, 5 and 3 make 11. So the green one is 17 times 11, which is 187. Now if you look at the white one, the little one, how far across the bottom is it? That's 8. How much across it? Move it down a bit. It's 5. That's a terrible diagram. I don't like it. It's a little bit better. So it was 5 across here, 8 across there. So for the white, we are doing 5 times 8, which is 40. Now, to get the area of just the green bit without the white bit in the middle, like you've got a hole and you can see through it, are we going to add the answers together, or are we going to take them away? We're going to take them away. To make a hole, you would take material away. So we need to do 187, take away 40, which is 147. What are the units? Well, our answers, or our measurements, sorry, are all in meters, and it's an area, so squared. So there is our final answer. Hope that all made sense, and I'll catch you later. Bye!